New this week from Image Comics, Transformers issue number 7, written by Daniel Warren Johnson, art by Jorge Corona. You may not believe me, but Transformers is the most exciting, action-packed, well-written ongoing series on shelves right now. And issue number 7 marks a turning point in this boundary-pushing... And issue number 7 marks a turning point in this boundary-pushing saga from Daniel Warren Johnson. I can't do it. This boundary-pushing saga from Daniel Warren Johnson following the Autobot, Decepticon, and Earthling feud, allowing our heroes a moment to regroup, train, and reassess their values in this fight, and our villains time to turn on each other. It seriously feels like I'm reading Game of Thrones at points, but it's still just big old colorful machines with guns. I've been reading comics long enough to know that if you want a story from a property that you love told the way you've always wanted it to be told, then Daniel Warren Johnson's got your back. With an often comedic, epically violent, surprisingly gut-punching narrative with so many twists and turns. Alright, let's dive into issue number 7 now with some spoilers. Do you want to be in the video, Freya? Is that a yes? No cats on the table. She doesn't listen to me. Issue number 7 starts with a flashback to the final days of Cybertron, which is always such a cool set piece. I get that that's why it's such a sparse thing in Transformers lore, but I always want more of it. A whole living world factionalized and tearing itself apart. I mean, it's never been more topical if you think about it. Anyway, this flashback follows a young Arcee as her and a group of warriors attempt to infiltrate a Decepticon stronghold, only to find the mutilated remains of an unknown Autobot leader. Later, we learn that this is almost certainly Arcee's mentor, Ultra Magnus. Cool name. Arcee alleges died because of her own destructive drive for revenge because of her murdered family. Scenes like these where Daniel Warren Johnson really excels. I feel like too often in this comic book verse we're too focused on exciting beginnings, new number ones, or big climaxes, or heartbreaking endings, and forget to focus on the quality of the continuing narrative that keeps us coming back as readers. Johnson always takes the time to remind us of what is at stake for our characters both morally and physically, cementing the larger conversation and themes that the story is addressing. As I mentioned, Transformers may be a bizarre, ridiculous science fiction property on its surface, but at its heart, it's a commentary on violence itself, war, xenophobia, survivor's guilt. Very real subjects worth talking about that each issue is addressing with surprisingly nuanced characters. It's really nice to have an issue like this where you are engaged, but it feels like a moment to step back and go, wow, I really like these characters. They've been through so much. Like our human protagonist Carly, who has fought literal giants in order to save her Transformer friends. Or Cliffjumper, who has protected Carly every step of the way and yet still feels responsible for the casualties and losses from the Decepticon pursuit. And of course there's our other human protagonist, poor Spike, who literally died and got brought back to life by Optimus's Allspark after he accidentally got shot by his dad in the crossfire. Oh yeah, and then his dad gave his life to restore Optimus's power. So... fuck. The biggest spectacle highlight of this issue, and it is so satisfying because it feels like a long time coming, is the Decepticon coup of Starscream as leader. After another unsuccessful Decepticon attack and the loss of one of the Decepticon's greatest assets in the last issue, and also the dismemberment of one of their own members, the remaining Decepticons corner Starscream led by Soundwave, who challenges Starscream to combat. In a brutal, mostly one-sided battle, Starscream is defeated and he gets his eye ripped out by a robot bird, leaving Soundwave as the de facto leader of the Decepticons now. I really wasn't expecting this change in leadership, but it does feel like the natural next step for these scheming, battle-obsessed Decepticons. And despite Starscream's many protests, it really does feel like they need Megatron to step back in to take proper leadership. Speaking of which, I feel like that is the next step for Starscream, to run Mewling to Megatron and declare his eternal loyalty. We saw a glimpse of Megatron a few issues ago, and Optimus now has his arm cannon. So it only feels like a matter of time before the Supreme Leader returns. Remember to support your local comic book store and grab Transformers issue number 7, out now. Or grab volume 1 of Transformers when it comes out May 21st. The art in this series does not hold back. I mean, this is gruesome. I know it's machines, but God. And look at the detail on this page. Also, something I didn't mention, Optimus is having visions now? I'm wondering what that's about. Maybe it's because of Spike's dad's soul inside of him? Damn, I didn't know Soundwave was built like that. This is a random last-minute thought, but I'm realizing that Starscream in this run feels sort of like the Iago character, if you know your Shakespeare. Somebody write that persuasive essay, damn it. What are some of your theories on what comes next for the Transformers series?